Hey there, marvelous beings. It's Tomek back here. And in today's episode of Lords by Design, I wanted to tell you a little bit about how to say this, the tools that you have in a shed depending on the starting class that you choose in a game. So we'll go through each three, let's say, archetypical typical classes of lords: the warrior, rogue, and cleric. And this short video is going to be about highlighting to you guys the basic things that you can use right away and are quite effective depending on the class that you choose. So the warrior is the heaviest guy. You will immediately notice that the rolls that he has are super slow. So what I'll try to show you is how to not depend on the rolls. He's also the only starting class that is a shield with 100% physical damage reduction. So this is a very important asset to use, and I want to show you how to use that. Let's use this test subject, which is a rogue marauder, and he's got quite heavy blows, especially this running strike. But as you can see, 100% physical damage reduction, and also it doesn't even stagger us. It doesn't throw us back. It doesn't break us guard. So you might want to take advantage of that. How do you do this? For example, by trying to exploit it and getting behind him. Oh well, I kicked him. This strike, he actually has three types of strikes. This strike is actually... There you go. This strike is the overhead strike. Is something very useful. If you can bait it, if you stand close to him, sometimes he just... There you go. This is another one. So he has three strikes. The running one, the overhead one. The overhead is easy to exploit in terms of backstep. Even if you get hit, if you raise your shield, it's not a big deal. Also, important thing to use as a warrior is charging. Here's how you do it. It's a little bit more damage if you use heavy strike. This is a light one. And this is a heavy one. And if you hold your attack button while carrying out the strike, it consumes a little bit more energy, but this extra energy goes towards extra damage. So 22 was without charging, and the previous strike was with charging. So summing it up, for the warrior, I recommend you guys use your shield. Don't rely on rolls, as they have different characteristics than fast rolls, even the mid rolls. And also think about using block and retaliating and counter-attacking when you can get behind the enemy, because usually when you use a heavy armor and use this shield at the start, a lot of strikes will not stagger you, which is a great thing to take advantage of. And in this case, try to get behind the enemy. Also, use charging. And also, interesting thing, if you grab your weapon in two hands, you can technically block with your sword. It doesn't reduce a lot of damage, but considering sorry guys, I'm trying to focus here. Considering the armor that you have, and considering all the resistances, if we can see this enemy, for example, it's the lightest enemy in the game. The damage that he deals is, well, it's really not significant, as you can see. And for a lot of times, he just bounces off your attacks, your blocks, I'm sorry, even if you block with a sword, see? And then, if you charge your two-handed attack, it almost kills him. Very interesting things, because two-handed attacks deal more damage, and charged ones, you can see the energy bar. When this is the not charged one. If you look at the energy bar, the yellow one, it just consumes about 40%. But if I hold it, it consumes over a half, and that extra amount of energy goes towards damage. Also, very important thing to use as a warrior starting class, especially if you're using a sword. The moveset of a sword has a very, very useful... These guys are blind, so if I'm quiet, he won't even notice me. This moveset has a very cool jumping attack. And then you can follow it up, unless you're out of range. But then I can charge my thrust. There you go. So killing these guys is quite easy. Alright guys, now that was warrior. Some very, very basic stuff. And now let's jump and see how... Cleric or Rogue? Let's check Cleric first. Right, guys, so this is Cleric starting gear. You have a Cleric's set. You have a hammer, which means that out of the starting weapons, this is the slowest one. And I'm going to focus on that right now. And also, you technically have a shield. I mean, technically, you have a shield that's pretty decent shield. It's got... The only bad thing about it is got 80% physical damage reduction, which is not a lot. But you can use it. And also, you're more vulnerable to being staggered or even knocked down. So I will show you strats without that shield, which means that it's going to be even easier if you use a shield. And I mentioned charging your attacks when we were playing Warrior. So with this weapon, whereas light attacks are somewhat slow, the heavy attacks are super slow. Like overhead attack takes a lot of time to swing. And thanks to that, the charging is more effective. And taking advantage of the charging is, you can see the energy bar right now. It's almost twice the amount of energy, or about twice the amount of energy that you consume for a charged heavy attack, which means that a lot of extra energy goes into extra damage. It's super effective. Now, also, the Cleric magic type, if you use it at the start, it has a spell unlocked. You can see it in the bottom right corner of the screen. I have my first spell, the statue, unlocked. You can see it in here. That's the prayer. It's already 1 out of 3 because you can upgrade your spell up to the 3rd level. And yeah, so we're gonna use these two. Very quick, very easy way to start off with a cleric type of class. Let's get the aggro of this guy. Let's put a spell here. I'll put a spell on you, buddy, and I'll just move to the side and he's gonna do his thing. Or not. Alright, now. Yeah, finally. Okay. And now I can charge my attack. So that's like 52 damage. Quite a lot. He's probably gonna start focusing. Oh no, okay, he didn't. So I'll do it again. My spell's ready, which is cool. And one more thing I want to show you. If you have a demonic weapon spark, this is one of the starting DLCs. If you have the, let's call it director's cut version of the game. It was technically called Game of the Year version, but I don't think Lords was a Game of the Year, so I'll call it director's cut version of the game. Anyways, you have the other hammer from this demonic weapons starting pack. It's called Tech, whatever we call this. It's a Roger language. It's a language that we humans don't use, so I don't even know how to pronounce it. We mere humans don't know the ways of the Roger. But if you look at the descriptions, it's actually, this language is actually a whole alphabet that we made up, that we came up with. And it's explained in here. These words actually mean something in our language. So stealing, in case of this one, you can see the description on the right part of the screen, and it tells about stealing energy. Each one of the demonic weapon spark weapons has a perk. This one has a perk of stealing magical energy with each successful hit. So this hammer has it. And the starting sword, I didn't show it when I was playing the warrior, but the starting sword has a perk of probably the highest weapon blocking physical damage reduction. It's about 80%. We actually have it here. So yeah, it's 80%, as you can see. And there are also daggers. I think these daggers. And they have a different perk that I'll talk about when I switch to Rogue. Now, considering this, we can steal magical energy when hitting this guy to have next spell ready quite fast. Let's put a spell here. Let's move aside. So the guy's interested in what he should be interested in. And when I hit him, I steal a lot of energy. I'm gonna have almost my next spell ready when this guy is dead. Only the cooldown, as you can see, is something that on the icon of the spell. And he also dropped something, which is cool. It might be, yeah, it is his great axe. It's a random drop. He sometimes dropped this. Very good axe for the warrior starting class. It's a strength axe. You might not have the requirement from the start. Anyways, so Using spells and using charged attacks is super effective. Also, if you use this hammer, you can drain magical energy. If you don't have it, you can do without it. Your magical energy regenerates anyways. It just speeds it up. By the way, I didn't mention one more important thing. When you are next to your to the spell, to the statue, I mentioned this in a previous episode. Actually, your magical energy also regenerates slightly faster. So it's quite OP, to be honest with you. One more thing I wanted to show you is the hammer moveset. Whereas it is slow, it also has a super cool combo. You can do a jumping attack. Jumping attacks in Lords are performed by sprinting and hitting heavy attack, but you can sprint pretty much instantly in Lords. When you move your stick to the front, when you move your left stick forward, it just starts running. But when you move and press it at the same time, it starts sprinting immediately, which is super cool because you can perform a jumping attack right off the bat. So when I do sprinting from the get-go and use a heavy attack, I can use a jumping attack like immediately. I think this is very effective and very cool because you can follow up the hammer heavy attack with a light attack, and this is super fast, as you can see. Like light attack takes quite a while to swing, but if you follow up the jump attack with a light attack, it is very effective. And let me show you how quickly you can take care of this guy here as an example. It didn't kill him, but this one did, and 90 damage is quite a lot, to be honest. Now for these guys, you will also notice that I'll go quiet. He's blind, so he won't notice me. But if I charge my heavy attack, it should probably also kill him in one strike. Yep, there you go, 80 damage. It was enough for him. So, as you can see, charging attacks by starting with a cleric is quite effective. Now, let's see about the rogue. Alright, so that's our starting rogue class character. I forgot to mention one important thing when I was talking about the warrior, the demonic weapons pack, the starting DLC. If you have it, it's quite useful. It's actually probably the most useful of the small DLCs in the game. If you have it, the sword that you're starting with, it's called here, as you can see, and yeah, it's also even the name, the Adaluk name is explained in here. Adaluk is the name of the alphabet. Anyways, it also has its own perk, which means that blocking with this sword is super effective. It's got, I think, 80%. Where is it? Yeah, the bottom part of the card of this weapon. Physical block defense, 80%. It's probably the highest blocking physical damage reduction rate for all the weapons in the game. So that was it. And also we'll talk about the demonic weapons daggers. Demonic weapons pack daggers included in that DLC. But I'm just getting lost in the words here. Anyways, rogue. So this guy starts off with a buckler, which you can technically block with, but not recommended. Only 75% physical damage reduction, and a very, very high chance of staggering, breaking your guard, or even throwing you on the ground, knocking you down. And he's got daggers, which are super fast. And I was talking a lot about charging in the previous parts, in the previous classes. Technically, you can charge your dagger strike. Like this is a heavy strike. It takes this long to swing. If I hold it, there's a slight chunk of energy going extra for the damage. But charging can be used here, but there's a way more effective thing about timing your strikes or using the timing of your attack buttons in this. If you switch to a dual stance, there are 3 types of weapons that have dual wielding stance in Lords. These are daggers, and daggers is the only starting weapon that has it. There's also short swords, and there are fist weapons. All these 3 are considered to be kind of a rogue weapons. Most of them scale with agility, as these daggers do, as you can see that in here. Agility requirement 8. That means they are agility weapon, and agility scale is 3%. And also there is Now, and these daggers have very interesting thing when you dual wield them, because apart from charging, there is a perfect timing technique, perfect timing feature in Lords. If you press strike and do a perfect, and find a perfect moment for carrying out the next strike, you will see that energy bar will blink. See that? There you go. It blinked once again. And it doesn't matter which hand you use, because when you dual wield, the left bumper and trigger buttons, or L1 or L2, also perform attacks. There you go. I just performed a combo. The coolest thing about perfect timing is when you do it 3 times in a row, you trigger a combo. So each dual wielded weapons have combos, and you can technically chain them forever if you have enough energy, of course. No, I didn't hit it. Let's try a 4th animation. There you go. And if I had enough energy, I could go on. There are 2 special combo, and these special combo animations are super high DPS. This is the most important thing about it. So that's one thing. The other thing is the buckler. If you use your left trigger or L2, you can parry with it. And this is something that guys who really like high risk, high reward will find super effective. I was practicing parrying here, as you can see, and I died. So parrying this guy is not super tough, as you can see. And you get a lot of time to hit him. There you go. This attack is tougher to parry, but you can do it. It's doable, and you can also even parry this. This one is easiest to parry. I'll try to get behind him, but no. You can even parry this one, the overhead strike, as you can see. Now let's see what happens if you do a special attack after the parry. Unless I die, of course, but then I'll start again. No worries. Alright. And that's a special animation of the parry. Quite a lot of damage. Now. And a jumping attack should do the work. There you go. Killing this guy is quite easy, as you can see. So, what I recommend starting with Rogue. Think about parrying. Not all the enemies and not all the attacks of all the enemies can be parried or are easy to parry. I leave that up to you to figure that out. And also think about these perfect timing things. It doesn't matter which order of strikes you use. You can use left hand, you can use right hand, and you can even use left, right, whatever is suitable for you. Yeah, okay. And then I use cross hands, doesn't matter. The demonic weapon Spock has Marger daggers included in them, and these guys, it actually means friends. So these 2 are friends. The name of the name of these daggers means friends in the Adaluk language. And these 2 have I don't know if I'll be able to demonstrate it here. These have a perk. They consume less energy with strikes when you dual wield them. Let's try that out. 1, 2, 3. No, I'm trying to. Let me try it again. I'm trying to not use perfect timing. It's the best way to. No, once again, it's gonna be tough. 2, 3, 4. 4 heavy, or even 5 heavy strikes. Let me try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heavy strikes for this dagger. Now if I switch to another dagger, 1, 2, 3, 4, also 5. Yeah, as I said, with a larger pool of energy, it's becoming more visible, but just trying to. By the way, did you know that you can favorite the weapons? Like I have, this is you can see it in a legend below. Toggle favorite R2. I'm playing on PS4, of course. So if I have couple weapons set as a favorite, I have 2 daggers in here, 2 sets of daggers set as a favorite. You can use right D-pad to toggle between them. It's quite useful. You don't have to go to the menu mid-combat. And yeah, all right. And also one more thing noticing is that Rogue, I'll try to use it to show it on a different opponent. Rogue has a very interesting moveset. the starting, of course, one. Not only he is the fastest one, but also the rogue weapons, which is fist weapons, short swords, and the daggers. They have a very interesting strike that you can use from rolling to the side. This is how, of course, you roll to the side, but there's a super fast strike that you can carry out from rolling to the side. There you go. Let's try not to get hit first. Now roll to the side and a strike. There you go. Other weapons do not have this. Other weapons just use a regular strike when you roll to the side. So roll to the side and use a light attack. This is very fast, so fast playstyle, I recommend it. Now let's see a combo on this guy, if we can do it. No, we can't. Let's try another one anyways, just to see what DPS the combos have. Unless he kills me, of course. No, he doesn't. Alright, well, you hear me? There you go. Very effective. Very effective. Alright, guys. That was the starting class type of episode on Lords by Design. Next up, we're probably going to tackle the first boss or the tutorial area. I'll see about that. We'll see. Have a great day, guys. And cheers. Bye.